Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and over the course of LEGO's many years of history, we have gotten Bigfigs, big and small. Starting off with some of the large fantasy-era trolls, and even continuing on to power miners, where we got some Bigfig rock monsters in all sorts of shapes and sizes, Bigfigs weren't really popularized until the Hulk, who was introduced in 2012 with LEGO Marvel's Avengers, and since then, we have gotten a whole host of different types of Bigfigs across pretty much every single, or almost every single LEGO theme. Whether it be licensed themes or original themes, we've gotten a ton of great stuff, like this amazing Killer Croc Bigfig here, and now we're going to take a look at every single Bigfig that LEGO has ever made throughout the entire history of Bigfigs, which technically the first ones being around Rock Raiders actually, so these go all the way back in time. But let's jump into them right now because this is a really cool analysis of how LEGO large figure styles have evolved over time. The great thing about showcasing the LEGO Bigfigs is that I already have 99% of them on display on my walls, mostly due to the fact that LEGO will produce Bigfigs mostly for large action and adventure themes. Whether they be licensed or non-licensed, we have gotten a host of LEGO Bigfigs all throughout the different years of LEGO's history, and I wanted to take this time to highlight just some of my favorites and really try to showcase every single one. So we're going to go in a somewhat chronological order, and I'll talk through the history of LEGO Bigfigs. But first, the question is, what defines a Bigfig? Well, to me, it is a large-scale LEGO character that is using primarily just standard specialized molds that isn't necessarily fully brick-built, so something like the Power Miners Crystal King I wouldn't necessarily count, but the Rock Monster monsters from the Power Miners theme, which are large-scale figures that mostly rely on prefab elements, absolutely do count for this list. Well, speaking of rock monsters, I feel like we should start off with what is technically the very first LEGO Bigfig, and that is, of course, the 1999 LEGO Rock Raiders Rock Monster. This is an incredibly iconic LEGO Bigfig, and it is literally just one gigantic piece. You can swivel the arm upwards and downwards, and you can use it to grasp crystals or even the legs of minifigures, but overall, it is super rudimentary. It is just one single color, but it has a really nice charm to it. You can see where the eyes and nose and mouth are meant, and they did a really clever thing of actually utilizing the molding lines on the creature to form the actual mouth of the character, which makes it really just have that extra layer of depth. Now, we wouldn't even see that many other Bigfigs until much later on in 2008, we got LEGO Fantasy Era Castle, which introduced the Troll Warriors faction. Now, for the trolls, we actually got 4 different unique Bigfig trolls, the standard versions, which were in plain gunmetal gray and copper armor, as well as the fully armored up versions, which had black armor. These are really cool because obviously you can see just where they were beginning to delve into the style of LEGO Bigfigs. The arms rotate and are mounted on LEGO Technic joints, much like the standard LEGO Bigfig arms today. Same with each and every one of the hands, and while you can't articulate anything else, these were a really solid start to how LEGO could be producing Bigfigs moving into the future. They're utilizing dual molded elements, which are now quite common to see amongst almost every single Bigfig, and it was really cool getting these for an original LEGO theme. Of course, just a year later in 2009, we got LEGO Power Miners, and for the later waves of LEGO Power Miners, we got these large-scale buildable rock monster Bigfigs. These comprise of 3 pieces, and the main action feature is that the arms are actually mounted on a miniature gear swivel. Inside the rock monsters, you can actuate a lever on the back of the models to allow them to swing the arms, to hurl rocks, or to grab crystals, or to knock anything out of the way. It's a super simple function, but it's one that worked really, really well because obviously you could just pull a lever on the back of the creature and then allow it to actually actuate the motion of the arm. We got the ultimate rock monster Bigfig in the form of Infernox here. He came in only one set, Lavatraz, and it is easily one of the coolest Bigfigs that LEGO has ever done, with transparent orange coloration, a brand new set of flame elements, currently still exclusive and probably will forever remain exclusive to the Bigfig attached on the top there via standard LEGO bars, and all in all was one of the most formidable Bigfigs we have ever gotten. And for once, I actually really want to highlight highlight that these are all based on original LEGO themes, which is something that became more and more rare, especially with the advent of modern Bigfigs, mostly being focused on licensed themes. And, well, speaking of licensed themes, let's take a look at the very first actual standard Bigfig that we got, which of course was the Hulk from LEGO Marvel Superheroes. This came out in 2012 to celebrate the Avengers movie, and you can see he is based off of his appearance in the Avengers. Since then, we have gotten a lot of Bigfig LEGO Hulks over the many years, and I'm not going to name every single one of them, but it is interesting to see how they've changed over the years, with some of the most recent ones featuring, for one of the first times in LEGO Bigfig history, heads which you can actually spin and turn and act as their own separate pieces, with even separate hair pieces as well, making the system a lot more expandable, like the version of Hulk here which came in the recent Avengers Tower just last year. Of course, we got an Age of Ultron version in 2015, a Thor Ragnarok version in 2017, which remains one of my personal favorite Bigfigs. It just is so cool. And then we got a few different ones for Endgame, all the way upwards for Infinity War, and even some comics versions as well in different colorations. Hulk was not the only Marvel Superheroes Bigfig that we got, because of course, moving on downwards, we even got Red Hulk, and I'm sure that according to rumors, we will be getting another one for the new Captain America movie coming out soon, and they even used the Bigfig template for some other characters, like the ultimate version of Green Goblin here, which is a really interesting Bigfig to do for a character like that. We did get some members of Thanos' Black Order in 2018's Infinity War as minifigure Bigfig style characters here, which you can see. And of course, Thanos himself has gotten a number of different Bigfigs over the years, introducing an original comics-based design being the first time we actually got him in minifigure style form, and then of course we got a ton of different versions of the character for both Infinity War and Endgame and beyond. And this actually did pioneer the brand new system of LEGO Bigfigs, which have detachable heads, so you can actually give them head turning articulation, which is something that was previously lacking from pretty much every other Bigfig that we got. But in between those, we got a lot of other licensed and non-licensed Bigfigs, even from some of the most unexpected themes. LEGO Ninjago in 2016 introduced the Sky Pirates, and one of their lieutenants was Dogshank. Dogshank was, I believe, the first female Bigfig, which you can see there. She's got eyelashes on, but of course, this is a very unique design with samurai armor in dark green. I love the skull on the top of the armor piece as well, and it's really cool to get a Bigfig as kind of just the side character in Ninjago. She wasn't even the main villain, she was just part of the main crew, but it's really interesting and served as a distinct opponent. One of the rarest Ninjago minifigures ever is Kilo here, and he is another Ninjago Bigfig. This one actually used a similar system that we got in an earlier Bigfig that actually used a standard minifigure head attachment piece with an Oni mask mounted on the top to just keep the proportions, making it a little bit closer to the standard proportions of the character. This is a really funny one because you can literally see Kilo's molded belly button, which is a very funny feature of the Bigfig itself, and because he only came in one set, the Kilo vs. Samurai X set, it is one of the most expensive Ninjago characters we've ever gotten. Speaking of original LEGO themes though, that one came out in 2018, but far before that, for LEGO Legends of Chima, we were getting all sorts of different Bigfig characters as well for that animalistic theme, which I find to be really interesting because Chima obviously was focused on all sorts of different animals, but it wasn't until the later waves of LEGO Chima that we actually got a LEGO Bigfig introduced for the characters themselves. Zooming in here to the Legends of Chima characters, that is of course Mungus the Mammoth. Mungus was introduced in 2014 for the second to last wave of LEGO Legends of Chima Fire vs. Ice, served as, again, kind of just a side character, but it's really cool because it was just using a standard minifigure head attachment piece, so you can see the minifigure head there, and that was how the Bigfig system worked. It was a really cool system to do for this Bigfig because it was basically the first one that could actually turn its head, and thankfully, since the other mammoths had these gigantic oversized heads, it felt just completely perfect on a Bigfig like Mungus. Moving on from that to some other licensed themes, even earlier than that, In 2012, we got a Bigfig cave troll for LEGO Lord of the Rings. Yes, they have a cave troll. This was utilizing some interesting and new molded elements for the arms, hands, and of course the body, because this was kind of developed at the same time as the Hulk, so they hadn't quite standardized the Bigfig system yet, and the same exact mold sets for the arms and hands were reused for the Goblin King in The Hobbit just a couple years later in 2014 and 2013. This is a really cool one because you can actually have these spikes on the crown be attached with black horde elements there, which were introduced in Bionicle, and of course you have the gigantic belly of the Goblin King being featured as well. Even LEGO Star Wars got in on the fun. I don't necessarily know if I would count Jabba as a Bigfig because he is kind of his own thing, but I definitely would count the Rancor, and the Rancor really did try to redefine what it meant to be a LEGO Bigfig because, of course, you have posable claws, which are super cool how you actually have the claws that could move. This came out in 2014 and remains one of the rarest LEGO Star Wars characters that you can get. I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten a new version yet, but hopefully LEGO's cooking up something in the future because this is a really cool one to pose. He can grab a minifigure with the claws, which are later reused for LEGO dinosaurs from Jurassic World. So this is absolutely one of the best detailed Bigfigs we have ever gotten. Moving on from that, we can take a look at some more Bigfigs throughout the years, and one of the other ones that we actually got for LEGO Disney was Moana here. Of course, for the Moana movie, this is Maui, and it's awesome because he's using the standard style of Bigfig prints and arms, but he actually has specialized arm printing for the tattoos. He has a specially molded head, and I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten a newer version of the character since. It's a really cool Bigfig to get, and I'm very happy to finally get this one in character form because a Bigfig is pretty perfect for The Rock. Moving on from that, we have some great LEGO DC Bigfigs, and this actually brings us to my personal favorite Bigfig ever, which is the LEGO Batman movie Killer Croc. This one came out in 2017, and he has the same exact Rancor hands, which means you can fully pose the fingers as well, which is a really nice touch. And of course, my favorite part is that you can actually move the neck up and down, the neck swivels up and down, and the head is mounted utilizing the original LEGO crocodile piece, making this the perfect blend of classic and new. Of course, for the Batman movie in 2017, we also got a Bane Bigfig, and otherwise, we got an earlier Killer Croc Bigfig a few years prior in 2015 or 16 with the original Killer Croc Bigfig that we got in one of the Bat Tank sets. Otherwise, some other Bigfigs from LEGO DC. Gorilla Grodd, of course, deserved to be a Bigfig from the Gorilla Grodd Goes Bananas set, one of my favorite set names ever in 2014. And of course, the same exact year, we also got Darkseid, the only time we have ever gotten Darkseid as a figure, despite him being one of the most important DC Comics characters, and it is really cool to see him as a fully fleshed out Bigfig. Now, other than that, there were only a couple other Bigfigs, unless I'm forgetting anything, which of course you'll let me know in the comments if I am, but those Bigfigs come from two themes, one of which being the Overwatch theme here. These two Bigfigs are, of course, Winston the gorilla here, as well as some of the other characters from Overwatch, and they are some of the most highly detailed Bigfigs ever, in the sense that you actually have triple molded components here. Super cool. Oops, one of the characters has just fallen off his stand there. But these are really nicely built up. I love the fact that Winston actually has a brick-built backpack on the back of the Bigfig itself to make it seem like a jetpack on the back. He has molded arms, which are unique to the character, a special weapon. This one also has a specialized molded weapon and also uses just the standard minifigure head system, so you can rotate the head. And there you can see the stomach detailing and printing, which is just super detailed. Some of the most exquisitely produced LEGO Bigfigs we've ever gotten. And finally, to sum up all of the different Bigfigs here, we just have one final one, and that is Sandy from LEGO Monkey Kid. Sandy, of course, has been since turned into a minifigure because they figured it was a lot easier to include him in sets if he was in minifigure form and not a Bigfig, but the Bigfig did come in a number of different sets. It was pretty much the same Bigfig across all of them, representing the original character from Journey to the West, which you can see right here in really nice triple molded glory with orange and magenta actual colored plastic being used for the character himself. Otherwise, to my knowledge, that pretty much sums up every single Bigfig we have ever gotten from LEGO. It is a pretty interesting and eclectic assortment, and of course I am very curious to hear from you. What characters do you wish we got as Bigfigs? Are there different characters in pop culture or media that you want to get as a Bigfig? Or are you happy with what we've gotten? Which ones are your favorites out of all the Bigfigs that we looked at on this list? And I guess we'll end this video with one last honorable mention, because Lord Raz from Ninjago was almost a Bigfig until they decided to make him easier and cheaper to produce and include him in more sets, although concept art does show him as a Bigfig, and they said we nearly got him as a Bigfig before they changed their mind. So that would have been the third Ninjago Bigfig, but alas, it was not meant to be. And with that, we have summed up our look at every single LEGO Bigfig ever made. Alright, that was a brief history of LEGO Bigfigs, where we took a look at every single one that LEGO has made. Of course, they continue to make more and more, so very soon this video is going to be outdated. We already know that we're going to get another newer, larger Hulk Bigfig for Age of Ultron in August, so definitely stay tuned for us to get that. But so far, as of right now, that is every LEGO Bigfig they've ever made. And let me know in the description, which ones are your favorites? Do you own any? Do you not own some, but you want to own some? And overall, what are your thoughts on Bigfigs in general in the LEGO portfolio? That's all for now. Thanks for tuning in to DeckBricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. And bye for now.